lost it!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that the writing was on the wall today. Laps 1 through 50 of this race, nothing. No, not much going on. Verstappen had a 7-second lead. The podium was kind of set for the most part. There's a couple battles in the midfield, but other than that, Charles Leclerc tried to complete like a 5-stop race. Other than that, I couldn't tell you what happened. Then around lap 52, 53, the final pit stops of this race were made for the leader, and that is where this race got exciting. That is where this race got chaotic. We're going to lead up to the actual incident that everyone is talking about. Now, the leaders made their pit stops late in this race, as I said, about lap 53, 54 out of 71. And Max Verstappen had a slow pit stop. The guy who had been dominating this race, led this race by 7 or more seconds, basically the entire race, had a very slow pit stop. And then Lando Norris had a decent pit stop. I think it was about 3 seconds long. And because of Verstappen's slow pit stop, all of a sudden Lando Norris is within 2 seconds of the lead. But the question is, can he close that gap? You know, Verstappen's been able to pull away for the majority of the day and kind of just maintain gap. What can Lando Norris do in these late stages? Well, a big moment happened in Max Verstappen's outlap going downhill into turn 4. He had a big lockup on the right front tire, and ultimately that was what Lando Norris needed. Verstappen damaged his tire a little bit, and because of the lockup, Norris was able to close the gap a little bit more. Lando Norris was able to get DRS. For about 10 laps there, oh my Lord. The levels of what those two did to each other was insane for Formula One standards. Lando Norris made some aggressive dive bombs. Like, he missed the corner once. He forced Verstappen off another time. But Max Verstappen was not innocent in any way, shape, or form. There were a couple times he made some aggressive blocks, I guess we'll call them. Heading down into the turn, he made a couple of overly aggressive moves under braking, and you could kind of sense where this was going. Aggressive dive bombs, aggressive blocking. At some point, these two are going to collide. Like, there was a point where I kind of said to myself jokingly, like, haha, they got 15 seconds on George Russell, but they're going to end up getting penalties from track limits for Norris and Verstappen for moving under braking. They're going to get so many 5-second penalties, Russell's going to win this thing from the penalties. Well, I was right on Russell winning, but as I said, the writing was in the wall, or on the wall, and that was that, well, Verstappen and Norris were bound to hit each other, and it finally happened on lap 64. Going up to turn 3, Lando Norris tried to go on the outside. You know, he's made so many aggressive dive bombs. Tried to go on the outside to either pinch Verstappen down or try to do a crossover move. Verstappen wasn't having it. Of course, they make just the slightest contact, crash into each other. Really, Verstappen, in my opinion, moved into Norris. He went up the racetrack a little bit. When they crashed into each other, made that contact, Verstappen's left rear went down. Lando Norris had a flat tire, and race done for him. No win for either driver. Norris tried to pass him back on the inside with the flat tire. Verstappen wasn't having it. He cut him off aggressively. It was quite the block. It was a little bit of a heat of the moment anger, if you ask me. Curious to hear what Verstappen and Norris's thoughts are, but this was the big moment of the race because those two blowing tires meant George Russell in third scooted on to a victory. Just his second career victory. He wins in the craziest ways. He wins when Max Verstappen collides into someone, Brazil 2022, when he collided with Hamilton, and today when Verstappen collided with Norris. But my goodness, look, I know some people and fan bases of Norris and Verstappen are probably heated right now, but this is exactly what Formula One needs right now. We always have these eras where someone dominates, someone wins consecutive championships. Right now we're in the Max Verstappen domination era, just off the Lewis Hamilton era, off the Vettel era, etc., down the line. But this is what we need. When the change of power happens, you know, we look at 2021. That's when it went from Hamilton to Verstappen. And that season is so memorable because we had the close battles between Verstappen and Hamilton, but we also had the controversy between Verstappen and Hamilton, Silverstone, Monza, Saudi Arabia, just to name a few. And yes, this year is not going to be a title fight. Verstappen's got 80 points on Norris, and even if he sits a couple races out, he'll still have 50 or so, because the fact of the matter is it's a pretty tight battle right now. But anyways, that's a point I don't want to talk about. But looking down the line, these are the moments that makes Formula One. When the guy who is dominated looks vulnerable, looks beatable, how is he going to perform under pressure? And when someone, A, beats him, it's a big deal. But B, when a moment like this happens, it's huge. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's looking at it. And come next year, maybe McLaren has the best car, but Verstappen, is the better driver. And maybe when those two are close every single week, we have more of these moments. We have a championship fight. So Formula One, in my opinion, needs moments like these. Now, we don't need people sending each other into the wall or crashing every single week. But when we have these close battles for the win and we have a little bit of controversy every now and then, everyone's going to talk about it. F1 fans, non-F1 fans, when they see moments like this, it's going to spike their interest. It's going to pique their interest in a sense. So, yes, I don't like drivers crashing into each other, no, but in a sense, it's what Formula One needs. They need the drama. They need the controversy. They want you to pick a side. Who was in the wrong? Was it Verstappen? Was it Norris? Who do you support in a sense in this moment? So, I know it's just one incident. I know it's not a title fight right now, but it could play a bigger role. It could play a bigger interest for Formula One. And as I said, they need moments like this. The past couple of years have been pretty dull in terms of fighting for the win. But we just saw the 3-time defending champion and a very young talent who just got his first win a few weeks ago fighting for the win late in a race, and they crashed each other out of the win. They had some close calls, and then when it finally happened, controversy, chaos, everyone's going to be talking about this. These are the moments F1 needs. Anyways, let's look at the finishing results of this race. This is going to be one of those races where you look at the winner, you're like, he won this thing? Really? I don't remember what he did all day. George Russell just kind of sat in third place all day, but when the time came, he picked up the pieces, and that's really what third place is about. You get a podium, you get a trophy if you finish third, but if the leaders are close and they happen to collide, then, well, there you are to pick up the pieces. George Russell, a good weekend from him. I don't think he came in today expecting a win. By lap 64, I don't think he expected the win either, but Verstappen and Norris collide. That opened the door for Russell, and George Russell picks up his second career win. Mercedes gets their first win in almost 2 years. Brazil 2022 with George Russell. They snap the winless streak. A big day in the constructors for them. As I said, George Russell, a huge day for him to get his second career win. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He picked up the pieces. People are going to call this Mickey Mouse win or whatever they want to call it. But the fact of the matter is, he's got a trophy. The record book shows him as the winner. He doesn't care. A Formula One win is a Formula One win. Second place, Oscar Piastri. Man, oh man. What could have been for Oscar yesterday. Gets a track limits violation and goes from starting second or third to seventh. So I guess that would have been... Anyways, he had a track limits violation, dropped him to seventh. And ultimately, man, if they didn't call that track limits violation, if he didn't go over the line, maybe a win could have been in the cards for him. But ultimately, a second place finish, a good points day for him. Third place, Carlos Sainz picks up another podium in 2024. Him and Piastri had a good little battle there at the end. And Sainz, a good points day for him, but a hit for Ferrari, a hit for every major team really except for Mercedes because, well, Leclerc had an incident at the start of the day with Piastri. Norris obviously didn't finish due to the incident. Verstappen had the win didn't have the win in the bag, but had at least 18 points going for him and ended up shooting himself in the foot there. Fourth place, Lewis Hamilton, solid day for him, coming off of his first podium of the season last week at Spain. This week at Austria, just couldn't quite keep up with those front few guys and ultimately finishes fourth. But once again, good day for Mercedes in terms of the constructors. Fifth place, Max Verstappen. I know he's won a lot recently. I know it's been a while since he's had a true threat for race wins, but today was pre-2022 Max Verstappen. Pre-22 Max Verstappen made aggressive dive bombs. He made aggressive moves, aggressive blocks. He did things that were considered controversial, considered dirty driving in Formula One. And that's really what we saw today once he was being threatened in terms of the race one. When he was well out in front of the field, obviously, there's no need to do that because you're 7 seconds clear. But once Norris was within DRS, once Norris started making moves, Verstappen resorted to his old form. He resorted to making aggressive blocks, moving under braking, forcing a driver wide, and then ultimately at the end of this race ended up colliding with Norris and ends up finishing 5th. I think he got the fastest lap, got a 10-second penalty for the incident. I think that's fair. He ruined another guy's race. He's at fault for the incident, if you ask me. And yeah, as I said, just really pre-22 for Verstappen is what we saw in those closing laps. Nico Hülkenberg 6th. What a day for Haas. We'll talk about Magnussen here in a second. Sergio Perez 7th. Perez, this is exactly why you need to be 3rd, okay? When your teammate wrecks someone else for the win, you got to be in 3rd to pick up the pieces. But ultimately, he wasn't, and he still finishes behind his teammate, despite his teammate going 3/4 of a lap on 3 wheels and having a 10-second penalty. Yikes. 8th place, Kevin Magnussen. What a day for Haas, man. I mean, seriously, look at that. 12 points for Haas. That's a great day for them. Great day for them. They've done here well at this track in the past. I remember Mick Schumacher finished like 5th or 6th in this race a couple of years ago, and I think Magnussen scored in that race as well. So something about Austria just really fits them, I guess. 9th, Daniel Ricciardo, good couple of points for him. Pierre Gasly finishes 10th. Him and Ocon got into it again. Shocker. Charles Leclerc finishes short of points. Incident on lap 1 just really ruined his race, ruined his chance of a good finish, and ruined his chance of points at all. And ultimately, he finishes 11th. But that hurts Ferrari and the constructors. But on the bright side, Lando Norris didn't finish, so you don't gain points, but it softens the blow a little bit in a sense. 12th Ocon, 13th Stroll, 14th Tsunoda, 15th Albon, 16th Bottas, 17th Zhou Guanyu, 18th Fernando Alonso. Oh my gosh. Oof, man. Aston Martin. 19th Logan Sargent also had an incident on lap 1. They never actually showed it, but he had to pit on lap 1. That kind of just screwed his day. And then last place, Lando Norris. Lando Norris, I get he does not have a lot of experience fighting for these wins. But, you look at a couple of the dive bombs he made and just he had 8 or so laps, 9 or 10, 11, whatever it is. And I get you want to go for it now when you have it, when you have the opportunity. But just a couple of those moves, he was just a little bit more patient, I feel like. He might have had a better opportunity. Obviously, we saw him evolve a little bit as the run went on, as the fight went on, especially when he tried to go around the outside of Verstappen. Verstappen's been so used to him trying to dive bomb. And then finally Norris said, okay, he knows what I'm going to do here. He knows I'm going to miss the corner. Like, I have to try something different. But by the time he did that, Verstappen was crashing into him. So he'll learn in these situations. And once again, that incident, I don't put him at fault. But there was just a couple instances where just a little bit over-aggressive, a little bit early. And I get, once again, while you're there, you want to make the move. While you have the DRS, you don't want to lose the DRS and all that. But just he's learning. He's learning. He hasn't been in this situation a lot, but he's learning. But that is your Austrian Grand Prix. Laps 1 through 50, I about fell asleep. Lap 51 onward, oh my eyes were like this. So thanks for watching this video. It was a crazy one in Austria. You should have known it was going to be crazy when Hans Zimmer did the national anthem. By the way, what is with Austria and those event organizers and like having the best national anthem performances? 2021, a rock band. 2022, an epic piano. 2023, an epic orchestra singer band thing with a guy playing like the keyboard guitar. And then this year, we had Hans freaking Zimmer. I don't know. But anyways, that's the Austrian Grand Prix. We got the NASCAR Cup Series at Nashville today. As I said, what a race, man. It really turned up in the last few laps. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know which side you're on, I guess. And I'll see you guys in the next video. It's been a fun week here in F1. I'm curious to see what happens at the British Grand Prix next week.